It is a rainy ass Thursday in San Francisco. Weird stuff's happening all over the place. They advised us not to go to work to travel if we didn't have to today. And I don't know about you, but you know when you come when you come down the hill into Pacifica and you go in that dip and then you come
I
back
saw a
out under the
photo
bridge? It's
on a
totally flooded.
Manor Drive or something like that.
Yeah, Manor Drive. So I couldn't have gotten out. I'm stuck here until they drain that thing. How's the rainstorm treating you, Mr. Chan?
Um, it's very loud. Uh,
Okay.
I did go outside. Apparently, there was also street cleaning today, so
Great.
that's good use of city funds.
Did
But
they do that today? They
they
actually
did.
rode?
They actually street cleaned today.
Okay, why not?
So there we go. Uh,
Um,
it's not that bad. It's just constant rain, nonstop rain.
yeah, like the rain meter which in my backyard, which is not an accurate rain, it's a home one, a hygrometer or whatever, is like 4 inches, which is probably higher than the actual number for today so far, but it's definitely been 2 or 3 inches of rain. So, and the ground, the thing about here, like people ask of us, like whether we're just pansies here on the West Coast. The problem is that the ground can't take the rain.
Yeah,
So like
it's
my
not about.
backyard is a pond.
It's not so much about the amount of rain, the act of raining. It is the infrastructure in the city is not suited for it.
The good news is we had that storm last week, which was enough to flush out all the storm sewers. So at least we're not having the thing where the storm sewers are geysering this year. And people stayed home, which seems to be good. But like 280 was flooded. I think SF has a good collection of all the pictures if you guys want to see. So anyway,
Woe is us.
yeah, I mean it could be a lot worse. At least it's not snow. This will go away in 3 days and everything will be fine. And you have power, I have power. A lot of San Francisco doesn't have power right now, which is unusual, but everything seems to be fine. So we're doing something a little different today. We are, instead of our normal podcast about tech news, which is there's not a lot of tech news happening right now.
No.
It's a little quiet. So instead of that, we're going to take a bunch of questions from the audience, and I've been collecting them for a couple of days now. Let me get that window open. So we can just jump right into it, unless you have something you want to talk about first, Norm.
Is there any tech news at all?
iOS 8.1.2 is out. I don't know what it added because it's
Oculus
broken.
acquired a skeletal hand tracking company.
Okay, that sounds good. That seems like a good thing for them to do. Mm,
That's a big deal.
I didn't see
More information from the Sony hacks.
the Sony hacks. So let's talk about that for a little bit because
Gift that keeps on giving.
well, okay, so we all agreed that looking at naked pictures of people that were stolen from their phones is wrong a few weeks ago. Why is there such gleeful shamelessness going through Sony's private emails? I mean, nobody likes Sony. Nobody really likes movie studios. So I guess that's probably the rationale. But I mean, what do you think? Have you thought about this at all?
It's illegal. I mean, I think from a morality standpoint, it's exactly the same.
Well, it's a violation of a corporation rather than a person, I guess, which is some people don't care about. I liked the thing from Joel McHale about when they canceled Community. He wanted to get the Sony discount on a 4K 65-inch TV, as he was out the door, and they were like, "Nah, just give him the TV. We'll bill it to the show. It's fine."
Wow.
So, yeah, $6,000 was on sale. So
All right.
celebrities, they're just like us. Okay, I'm just going to jump into the questions. The email address is podcast@tested.com. If you have questions, send them in. We answer them, often, occasionally.
Are people watching live right now to ask questions live?
No, we did not do that because I don't have the way to insert the ads. So we are not going to take questions live. Unless you want to get crazy, it's an unlisted link. You can just post that link on Twitter, and we can do this live if you want. And we can do a live read of that. Okay.
As he was out the door.
Yeah, let's wait till the very end.
Okay. I don't know if you saw it this morning, but Jane at Firewatch at Campo Santo was posting live streaming video of her model making for Firewatch. Like I haven't really watched. I've watched a lot of tutorials for that kind of 3D modeling stuff, but I've never really watched somebody who was good at it actually like working. It's super fascinating.
How fast was she working?
She was a little slower because she was like typing in a text window and telling people what she was doing and answering questions and stuff. But it was like 20 minutes to make a very like something that looks amazing, a Coleman lantern, like with the gas kind that you hold with the handle, a camp lantern that looked awesome, and just the model, and then she was texturing it when we started doing this. So I don't know what happened after that.
This is archived on Twitch also, so if you want to watch that afterward.
Yeah, I think it's at twitch.tv/Campo Santo, so you can find it there.
I like the time lapse
of
the time lapse tutorials that people do when they do art projects and they do screen capture.
Oh yeah, like
real time is less interesting to me. I mean, it's interesting, but there's a lot of downtime, especially if you're corresponding with the viewer.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on what kind of work you're doing. Like if you're building environments or something massive, or doing fine detail work, I can see how that would not be super interesting. But for this, she was just making like small props, like lanterns and stuff like that, and like it was happening much faster than I ever would have expected. So. So anyway, if you have a question for the podcast, the email address is podcast@tested.com. Our first question comes from David. He says, "Hey guys, I'm a middle school technology teacher, heavily invested in the idea of hands-on maker-style experiences for me and my students. I have a fair bit of knowledge myself, enough to do a lot, but also enough to know that I have significant gaps. When I listen to you and other podcasts or attend conferences, it seems most people in this area are developing skills on their own. Do you think that a maker education is possible through the traditional education system, or with schools starting to pursue it, can we really help the students learn the mindset?" What do you think about this, Norm? I thought this was a good question.
I think yes. Absolutely.
I think the thing to do is to teach them how to learn, right? Like teach them how to learn safely. The good example of this is stuff like Tech Shop. In order to use their tools, you have to go and take proficiency classes. And once you do that, then they just kind of turn you loose. And the idea of the proficiency classes is they teach you enough to be safe that you're not going to lose fingers or eyes or anything like that. And then they also teach you where you need to ask questions, and they have people that are available to answer questions. So, maybe start with a basic skill, like, using shop stuff, right? And then go from there and teach them as they're younger, and teach them how to actually pick up new skills on their own, and have people present that can answer questions. I think that's. I mean, the failing of my high school education is that they didn't teach us how to learn. They taught us how to memorize a bunch of shit, and that was absolutely useless when I went to college because you could never memorize. College was about understanding and not rote memorization.
I think just having a wood shop period teaches all of those skills. NPR did a story on All Things Considered about a wood shop at Dartmouth where people would go in and there's a professor there. And the whole point of the story was that people walk in and they would learn to build things with their hands. And while the course was ostensibly wood shop, the lesson and what everyone took out of it was how to be a maker and problem solve and learn life lessons.
Did they lock it down? Was it like you could only use the place during specific lab times, or like
it was open to anyone, anytime?
And there were people there that would help? That sounds great.
And there was a profile of this very specific woodshop professor who would teach all sorts of people from every discipline woodworking, and then they took those lessons and applied them elsewhere.
So the other thing that's applicable here, and it's something Adam's touched on a lot on Still Untitled, is that once you have the basic ability to turn 2D things into 3D things, then that transfers across, like that basic conceptual skill transfers across different mediums. So if you can do woodworking, then the thing that you need to learn to know how to sew is how to join two pieces of fabric, not you've already done the hard part. The hard part is the 2D to 3D stuff. The actual joining is technique and practice, and that's stuff you can easily pick up from YouTube or friends or whatever. So, Matthew asks, would you rather get a drone or a 3D printer? And he has some parameters. He has a $1,500 budget for his nerd Christmas present to himself, and the drone has to have a video camera included. He doesn't have a GoPro or anything like that he could attach to it. iPad or iPhone controls are possible, but not a must as long as video feed is available with the remote. I think he probably means also like a SD card in the quad would be okay. And he doesn't have any experience with 3D printing, but he's an engineer with good experience in CAD, SketchUp, and SolidWorks. So we can only afford one for $1,500. What would be the most fun to play with, and which products would be contenders in this price range?
I am a huge proponent of both having cake and eating it, and I'd say for $1,500 you get both those things. No,
I think you can buy a $500 printer bot kit and have $1,000 left over to buy a quad. And
you don't even need to spend $1,000 to have one with a camera attached. But
yes, what would you recommend, Norm?
You should, I would say, wait 2 months and then look at how much the Phantom 2 Vision Plus costs then, version 3, which is different from the one we have. And what you should, they changed the transmitter. The range extender is now integrated. What you should do is build a printer bot. That's $500, and then get a $40 Nano Quad, one from 1SQ or Hubsan or Aries, and then that's going to be $50, and then wait a couple months to move up to a different one. Or you can build your own.
Get some practice, learn your chops with the Nano Quad, and then upgrade in the spring, and still be under your $1,500 total budget. You think?
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I think you can probably buy used Phantom 2s on Craigslist for not a whole lot of money too. So, or significantly less than retail new. The thing, when you have questions like this, the thing that you have to think about is we don't know what you like and what you enjoy. So it's hard for us to say if you feel like doing more CAD stuff and making stuff with the 3D printer is something that you would like to bring home with you, then totally the 3D printer is a thing you're going to enjoy and have fun with. If you feel like opening up SolidWorks when you get home is going to make you feel like you never left work and you're going to get bummed out, that is obviously not a good purchase for you. So, there you go. You are your best. You are the judge here. It's the beautiful thing about buying presents for yourself. Caleb says,
so many regrets if you choose wrong. Buying presents for yourself. The pitfall is so many regrets.
What presents have you regretted that you bought for yourself, Norm?
Oh, if you buy something and a better version comes out a month later.
So MacBooks. Don't buy a MacBook right now.
Don't buy a MacBook right now.
Caleb asks, I've been watching the backlog of tested videos and noticed that Will has those cool blue tennis shoes and Norm wears work boots a lot. What shoes are these, and are these your go-to shoes on a daily basis? What other shoes do you like? Norm, I like those boots you have too. They're very slick.
Those are Red Wing Iron Rangers. They are only 6 months old. You can wear them for years if you treat them well and clean them and oil them. But you don't need to spend $300 on a pair of work boots. You can buy a pair of leather boots for under $100, $70 even.
The work boots that I wear are just a 15, 20-year-old pair of Doc Martens that I got in college that I used to wear, in a different time as going out shoes. And now, they're my work boots, but they've held up really well, and I oil them probably once a year, which is not enough, I'm sure. The Red Wings are nice because they're made in America, which I think is pretty cool, which is also why they're expensive. The tennis shoes, I have a lot of colored tennis shoes. I wear Asics and Pumas and Adidas mostly, usually suede and usually in bright colors. Robin asks, I'm considering buying a MacBook in the near future. I'm a bit curious about the connectivity to iPhone's fingerprint reader. My old Sony Vaio, Norm's typing, my old Sony Vaio had a fingerprint sensor, and I really like the convenience of logging in with just a swipe of a finger. Do the close link between OS X and iOS allow for cross-platform security checks? I know you guys have mentioned apps like 1Password and such before, so if this isn't built in, is it available through third-party apps? It should absolutely be built in. It is not. I don't think you can get it through third-party apps. If anybody knows, post in the comments, and we will talk about that next week. Can you do that on Android, Norm? Can you log in? You don't have a phone with a fingerprint swipe, do you?
No. The rumor was that the Nexus 6 would have one, but they canned that at the last minute, and so I'm glad that they didn't put one in for the sake of putting one in.
The reason I like the Apple one is just because it works really well first time, more often than I can. I don't remember the last time I hit the button and I missed, and it wasn't because my finger was wet or greasy or had crazy glue on it or something.
But you still have to update that every few months.
Not really. Not since 8.
Does it not lose?
No, it doesn't lose it. It stopped losing it at 7.1 or maybe 8. I can't remember. But
what caused it to lose it?
What happens is it adjusts over time So when it gets a misread, it uses that information to. It used to use that information to theoretically improve the read, and then I think somebody messed up, and it was actually making the read less clear rather than more clear. I think 7.1 fixed the initial problem, and it's much, much better in 8. I haven't had any problems at all with 8, and it even reads sometimes when my finger is wet, which is interesting. Marvin asks, I was just wondering how you guys met Jamie and Adam. Kyle has a similar question, says, I'm wondering what the connection between Jamie and Adam and Tested is. Did they start the site, or did you guys partner up after the site was started? Excuse me. I'm curious to know what the story is about how you guys started working together.
Number one question asked.
We get this a lot. Norm and I launched Tested in March of 2010 with Whiskey Media as a tech site. We were, I mean, I was tired of snarky tech coverage from people who seemed to hate everything, even though it was all magical. And we were excited to talk about phones and tablets and stuff like that instead of PCs. I mean, that's where I came from. I don't know what your motivation.
The question of how we met Jamie and Adam, we were very lucky.
Yeah, so our company got bought. The company that we launched the site with was sold, and we were sold to the technology back end of the site was sold to a company that had a development deal with Jamie and Adam, and they were making a website for Jamie and Adam, and they looked at Jamie and Adam, and they looked at the stuff we were doing, and they looked at Jamie and Adam, and they looked at the stuff we were doing. They were like, maybe we should introduce these guys. And we all went to M5, sat down in Jamie's office. Adam was sitting by the decapitated person in the corner of Jamie's office, and it was a real weird conversation, but it went well, and here we are. So that's it. I mean, there's nothing weird there. When we added Jamie and Adam to the site, we kind of opened up the coverage. I mean, we'd gone to Maker Faire. I think every year we did Tested, right? We started in 2010.
Yep.
So, you know, we'd been covering Maker stuff for a long time, but it wasn't a primary focus. It was just a thing we did because we enjoyed it and thought it was neat. And when those guys came on board, we were able to expand that to be much more part of the core focus of the site. I'm going to adjust whatever settings I can to stop that weird white balance thing from happening. Sorry about that.
I think the cool thing is that when we were doing things in 2010 and 2011, we were interested in technology, unconventional technology on the fringes, like 3D printing, and we were covering stuff at Maker Faire, at Combots, at events that before there was really this idea of a maker movement, and we were doing it without there being a name for it. And now, I mean, and there was Make Magazine,
yeah.
But it wasn't as ubiquitous as it's something that the president can call out to on a State of the Union, as he did last year, sort of 2 years ago. So it worked out that, you know, when we met Jamie and Adam, that it put a name on what we were already doing and gave it the focus, and it turned out that we were already covering a lot of that stuff.
And it was the stuff that we were having the most fun with. I mean, the 3D printing stuff and I mean, drones were part of the challenge of technology, of covering technology, is that, and this is what breaks a lot of sites, is that stuff like phones and tablets, when there's a new category, it's very interesting because everybody's trying stuff, and a lot of stuff sticks to the wall and a lot of stuff doesn't, and there's a lot to talk about because it's really innovative. But say, 5 years after the launch of the iPhone and maybe a year and a half after the launch of the iPad, both of those markets had pretty much crystallized, and we knew what those things were. We knew that they were, you know, LCD touchscreens with a pretty good battery and a high-speed data connection and a gyroscope, an accelerometer, a compass, a microphone, a bunch of microphones, a couple of cameras, and then it just became incremental advancements until the phones got a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And that there's not a lot to talk about there. You run out of stuff real soon. So, you know, it was really exciting to get to kind of do more different coverage of stuff that is always different, new coverage of stuff that's always different, and have a real good excuse for it. So, so there we go. Robin wants to know if now is a good time to buy a MacBook, and if not, why?
I think, as we mentioned earlier, now is the worst time probably to buy a MacBook. We're in between cycles. If you're looking at something like the MacBook Air, probably their most popular laptop, we're talking about a potential. It's in the same design for 3.5 years now. So a physical design change may happen this year. Last year, the processor upgrade was delayed because of Intel's inability to mass produce its Broadwell chips, and so that's going to get hopefully resolved, launched at CES, and put in MacBooks a few months later. And who knows? Maybe we'll get touching Mac OS. So that all things to look forward to. So wait 6 months.
I mean, worst case, you get better performance in the same battery life, right? Best case, you get a Retina MacBook Air, obviously MacBook Pros already have Retina, but Retina MacBook Air instead of a Pro, and maybe like Norm said, Touch. Although I still don't think that's going to happen.
I could not imagine maybe not next year, but in the next 2 years, Touch on MacBooks not happening.
I mean, I look at the changes that happened with Yosemite, and I think, oh, they're clearly sowing the seeds for Touch, but I don't think they're there yet. I think it still needs time.
I think the only time they're waiting for is cost.
Well, that's possible. Yeah. I mean, I think, and here's the thing: is if I'm looking at increasing cost on a laptop, for me personally, buying a laptop, I would much rather have the higher density screen, which I think they have to do now, or reduce the cost one way or the other, or than the Touch. The higher density screen is something you use constantly. The Touch is much less important to me. And I think if they do Touch, they'll bring it with a new design. I think a more yoga-like, foldy all the way over design.
I don't think they'll do that.
Or a design that doesn't just stop here. How's that?
Oh, I think that's the one thing I think they'll keep, and I think that complements Touch well.
Maybe
that the rigidity of the angle which the MacBook falls back is what accommodates Touch, and they'll call to things like the yoga, where when you tap the screen it flip flops.
MacBooks flip flop though.
But you're not tapping the screen, and there's a rigid edge.
Fair enough. Jordan says, "Hey, I want to treat myself for Christmas, and I'm looking for a good Bluetooth speaker that I would mostly use at home with iOS devices. I've read good reviews on the UE Boom, and I wanted to have your opinion. Both of the booms are awesome. The mini boom is great. It's cheap. You can get 2 for what one Jambox or full-size boom costs. The full-size boom, it's in the kitchen right now, but it's waterproof. I've taken it in the shower with me, and it works fine.
I feel like that's something that they're going to update soon. I would imagine.
That seems like a safe guess.
It's been something. It's been out for a year and a half. I'm not exactly sure what the Wirecutter recommends.
They recommend the mini boom at $79. You can get it for $79 usually. The full-size boom, they recommend the tall cylinder one, not the square one. The cylinder one is water resistant or splash resistant, so you can take it like to picnics and camping and stuff like that. So that's
yeah, for the best home Bluetooth speaker, they actually recommend the Marshall, the boombox. It's $400 and it looks like a guitar amp. I actually don't like the look of it at all, but it's what they recommend.
The thing I like about does it do speakerphone too? Can you see? Can you tell?
I'm not at that part yet.
We both have used booms, and I like it. There may be something better, but that's what we've tested. Chris wants to know what our picks for GOTY Game of the Year are. Norm, have you played enough games to have a pick for GOTY this year?
I'm really liking iDarb.
iDarb's. Did you guys play? Did you guys get 8? How many controllers did you have down there?
I only have one controller, so I've played a lot of 1v1 online.
Oh, that's sad. If you get a second controller,
the purest test of skill.
Gina and I will take on Norm Manor. We're developing team-based strategies. Yeah, 2v2. You should get.
It's really fun.
Yeah, it's really great.
I think they did announce that in February, if you have Xbox Live Gold, that will be free.
Yes.
Major Nelson announced that today. Other games, fantastic. There were a lot of great games this year that were not super blockbusters, like Alien Isolation, Mordor, high-profile games, but they were not like giant Call of Duty games.
I don't think Alien Isolation would be one of my favorite games, but it's pretty amazing. I'm looking at the list of stuff I played recently. Uh,
Game of Thrones, HBO's Game of Thrones is fantastic.
the Telltale one?
Mm-hmm.
Are you watching people play it, or are you playing that?
I'm playing it.
Okay. Um, I like it's weird because this is a year that I played more indie stuff, I think, than AAA. I really enjoyed Shadow of Mordor. I thought that the combat and the Nemesis stuff in that was really neat. I played this game called The Sun at Night, which I think is about, if it's the one, if I'm remembering right, it's the one about Laika, or a Russian space dog who comes back and the world has changed in a really strange way. It's brilliant. Invisible Ink is really good if you haven't played that. It's a turn-based strategy game in the XCOM vein. I think it's in early access though, so I don't know if it counts for GOTY. Yeah, it's been a weird year. I played a lot of Diablo 3 on the PS4 somehow. I don't know how that happened exactly. Gregory wants to know, what's your favorite thing to do on a rainy day? Norm, what's your favorite thing to do on a rainy day?
Work on a craft kit. I have kits right here somewhere that are just ready for a day such as this one.
Like papercraft kits?
Paper craft kits.
Nice. Let's see. Hold them up. Maybe talk and then hold them up.
This is a Toyota FJ Cruiser in paper form. That's waiting for another rainy day.
Is that great big SUV thing?
Yeah, I believe it is an SUV. Here's what it looks like.
Ooh.
And then that's in paper form. And this is a Mercury capsule with astronauts and the launch escape system.
Oh, that looks awesome. So it has the little red tower on top. That looks really cool. Oh, I don't think they can see you.
There you go. There goes the launch system and astronauts that you actually have to put stuff on.
Cool.
It's cool.
We do board games here a lot of times. Although with the toddler, keeping a toddler entertained on a day like today when it's rainy, we can't go outside. She spends a lot of time looking at the rain. I think my wife watched Elmo with her this morning, which is unusual. That doesn't happen that often. We usually make cookies or something like that, so that's good. And then board games at night would be my guess.
Listen to podcasts?
Podcasts are good. Maybe little video games, like some couch co-op, or like one of the things Gina and I do a fair amount is play adventure games, but like either hot seat or one person drives and the other person tells us what to do, and we kind of, we played through all of the first season of Walking Dead like that, and a little bit of Broken Age and some other stuff. So that's always good. Victor says, I would love to see a segment on technology-friendly furniture. I hate all the cables that come along with cool technology. Would really like to hear what you think are good examples of smart furniture, stuff that hides the cables, hides the connections, makes it easy to have a computer on your desk without looking like you have a million cables snarled on the top. Victor's girlfriend also asked for more testing in the line of Soylent. She loves seeing you look uncomfortable, Norm. It's convenient because Soylent 1.3 just came out today.
That's right. It's a whole new batch, new formula, less farty. Smart desk. Cable management. I really hate furniture that has cable management built in. I never use it.
It always looks like furniture that has cable management built in.
Yeah, I think the way to manage your cables is to manage your cables, is to tie up your cables and align them in a way so that it's like, be clever about where you put your cables as opposed to integrating in your desk.
I have these Velcro strips you can get at Amazon or office supply stores or whatever, and they have a hole in one end, a little bit of a wider spot, and you basically loop them around a cable and then pull it tight. So you always have a cable tie on the end of your cable. They come in really huge sizes, like you can get them in like furniture wrapping sizes, and you can get them big enough that you can use one cable to tie it to the entire leg of your desk or whatever. I also like, what day are we on? The 4th day of Christmas today?
This is day 4.
Okay, so people are spoilers. Hold on, where is it? Here we go. So The other thing I like are these guys. So, like for me, the place that gets out of control is on my nightstand, because I have a phone and a tablet and a 3DS and some other stuff charging there, and my watch and all sorts of stuff. So I put a 5-port USB. This is the 4-port version for traveling, but I put a 5-port USB charger and hooked it up underneath my nightstand with one power cord coming up into that, and then all my stuff plugs into that. It charges everything at like turbo speed, iPads, iPhones, whatever. And it means that there's a lot less snarl like going up the back of the desk, which solves the problem. Because I don't have a power strip under my nightstand anymore either, which also is nice. The computer desk is it's a wash. If you have a monitor and speakers and microphones and stuff, there's I don't know that there's anything you can do except for build a desk that has cable channels built in and little pop-ups for the cables to pop out of.
I'm resistant to, for example, like a side table with a wireless charging built in. That kind of integrated cable management and technology is something that too quickly becomes obsolete, and also you notice it way more. I like things that prop up your phones and tablets with like a nightstand. The problem is that phones and tablets are flat and they take a lot of surface area. So something that props them up or on their side, so they're so it's only taking the edge of it.
Like one of those file things that you drop your files in.
Yeah, something made of wood. You can buy at a craft fair.
That seems like a good idea. The desks, I'm not going to make or build or buy desks that don't have cable channels built in. You can get, even if you have existing desks and you want to retrofit them, you can get a hole saw and get those 1-inch holes that will let you run cables straight down through the surface of the desk. And it takes like 5 minutes to do. Obviously, don't do it on anything that's antique or really expensive because you will ruin it. But yeah, like you can modify the stuff you already have and make it serve your purpose as a general rule.
In terms of uncomfortable things to test, something I'm looking at, probably not really going to test this, is a new bacteria-rich Hygiene. It's a microbial spray that you use instead of taking a shower.
You should definitely test that.
Shampoo or soap. You can it's I guess they call it a cosmetic mist, and has billions of cultivated bacteria, ammonia oxidizing bacteria commonly found in dirt, and you can spray it on yourself and not shower. And apparently invented by an MIT trained chemical engineer who has not showered for the past 12 years.
Gross. I got nothing. I got nothing on this. I think you should absolutely test this.
I'm going to make this a pledge reward. We'll figure out a way to make this work with a minimum requirement.
I think we need, if you're going to do this, we need to assemble a panel of sniffers. People who can come in every day, sniff you, see what they think about your general level of odor and cleanliness, and we'll go from there. That sounds really gross. 12 years with no shower. After a year of no shower, I think you would just want a shower. I think you'd be excited about that.
Wow. The product is called AO Plus, and on their website it says bacteria is the new black. That's terrible.
Wow. So it's AO plus, like BO minus. Is that the idea?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it that way. A month supply is $100.
Whoa! What? A
Yep.
bar of soap cost me $2. That lasts a month.
You to save on water, maybe.
I suppose that is the thing that you save on.
I'm gonna read the directions here. Use 6 to 8 sprays of AO plus mist all over your body and let it absorb. Use twice a day. Oh, so you do shower, preferably after showering.
Oh, so you just rinse.
Yeah, you don't use soap or shampoo.
You do like a 6-year-old shower where the kid goes in for 3 seconds and rinses off.
Much less appealing.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know what you could do to make that idea much less appealing, but okay. Alex says, hey guys, I'm a college student and recently I've been thinking about getting a Chromebook as they seem to be perfect note-taking machines and should satisfy most of my day-to-day computing needs. Do you think Chromebooks offer the same 2-year plus lifespan that most tablets have? I'm worried that they might not hold up over time, much like the netbooks of yesteryear. Keep up the great work. I haven't used a Chromebook in probably 2 years, so I don't know that we're the right people to answer this.
The Chromebooks are much better now.
They're much better than netbooks ever have been, like just spec-wise.
I want to say that there was a really well-reviewed Chromebook. I want to say it's by Toshiba. Toshiba Chromebook 2 is probably the best received Chromebook right now. And it's well integrated with all the Google applications, has some local storage, talk about a 12-inch device. And then also, if you want a Windows PC, a really cheap Windows laptop, people have like the HP Stream 11, which is a $200 computer.
So Wirecutter says the 13-inch Toshiba Chromebook 2 is great. The Dell Chromebook 11 is their favorite at the 11-inch size. So the Dell apparently is a little hard to find. So there you go. And they're both really cheap. They're tablet prices. I think probably you'll have better legs with the Chromebook than you would with the Windows PC at that price point, though. Don't you think, Norm?
Yeah, both of those are devices that would be interesting, though. HP Stream 11 and the Toshiba Chromebook 2.
We just got another flash flood warning from the National Weather Service. Thanks, National Weather Service. Let's see. The next question is from Alex, who says, I really enjoy the current format of the podcast, segments of news, what you're testing, etc. of your podcast. But I'm sure you guys are always thinking of ways to improve the show, evolve it, or whatever. What are some ideas you have floating around in your head lately? And he also wants to know why you're so smug about Apple products lately, Norm. We haven't actually talked about evolving the podcast in a really long time. So if you guys have suggestions or things you'd like, send us notes, post comments, send us emails. We'd love to hear. Norm, why are you so smug about Apple products lately?
I don't know what you're talking about. I love Apple. I have a MacBook Air and I have an iPad Mini, and those are both great products.
There you go. Jared wants to know, I'm wondering how good fitness bands are at identifying the kind of motion you're actually doing. Could something like a Fitbit, a Fuel Band, or smartwatch tell the difference between someone running and somebody biking, or somebody jogging, somebody walking, etc.? Basically, I'm curious about how easy it would be to trick a fitness band or phone into thinking you're running when you're really doing something else like driving. Are there fitness bands that are better than others at knowing when the user is running, walking, etc.? Some of this stuff is just common sense. If they can look at the data coming into your phone, and if you're moving at 30 miles an hour, you're probably not walking or running or swimming, maybe cycling. The thing that I like about the Jawbone, the reason I got a Jawbone Up, is that they actually let you hook into a bunch of different services. So if you're a cycling person, you can hook into the cycling app that runs on your cycle computer, because none of the motion bands are good at measuring cycling distance. There's no wrist or body movement to measure there. The same thing for swimming, same thing for I don't know what other kind of activities, skateboarding and whatever else you might be doing. The walking, running stuff, I think that's all probably pretty proprietary trade secrets, but they all work on the same general principle that if you know your height and your weight, then you can kind of know how many steps you take by measuring the up and down cadence of your body and how far you go. So the very best stuff uses GPS along with the pedometer, and then the ones that actually, if you want to actually measure caloric burn, you need something that measures your heart rate pretty much constantly.
And I still think the hip-based trackers are better than the wrist-based trackers.
I think we haven't done any testing to confirm that, but it seems like the stuff that's hooked on your core is going to measure better. Although when I compare, so one of the things I've done is compared the data that my phone gives me to the data that the Jawbone Up gives me, and the number of steps is usually within like 5 or 10%, which would be like the difference between me picking up my phone leaving my phone on the desk when I go to the bathroom and not stuff like that. They're all a little bit off though. Like they're never exactly the same, even if you have 3 different motion trackers on the exact same place on your body. So there you go. Thomas wants to know which, if any, podcast apps do you guys use for mobile podcast consumption and organization on iOS and Android, please. What are you using on Android these days, Norm?
I use I believe it's, hold on one second. Been switching around. It's the one that I switched to podcasts.
Pocket Cast?
Pocket Cast.
Yeah, Pocket Cast is great. Pocket Cast is the only thing I know of that syncs across iOS and Android. Something made a huge noise out in the living room a minute ago. Hope everybody's okay. No screaming. Pocket Cast lets you sync between iOS and Android clients, which I know is great. I think they even have a desktop client for at least OS 10. I don't know if they have one for Windows. I use Overcast on the phone, and I just only listen to podcasts on my phone because I always have it with me if I want to listen to podcasts. Also, Pocket Cast is good on iOS, and I want to say Overcast was good the last time I used it, but that was prior to iOS 8. So there you go. The thing I like about Overcast is that it does a pretty good chop all the silence out of the podcast, so you can listen to a 2-hour podcast in about 90 minutes. It sounds a little weird, but you get used to it. Andrew says, hey guys, I set my parents up with a Roku over Thanksgiving weekend and they fell in love with it immediately. They love the streaming content. Is there a good way for them to mix streaming content and live TV? Would a DLNA tuner like an HD home run or DVR work, or should a TiVo be the next option for them? I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Norm. I don't know that there's anything that does that well right now. TiVo kind of does that, but the clients for streaming stuff are not as good on TiVo as they are on, or at least they aren't as good on the 2-year-old TiVo that I have as they are on other stuff like Apple TV, Xbox One, Roku, Chrome, even like the stuff that you blast over with Chromecast. I just switch inputs between a streaming box and my cable box.
Xbox One is probably the only thing that has some level of integration.
I guess that's true.
Xbox One.
But do you use the Xbox One integration for your TV?
No, I don't want to turn on Xbox One to turn on TV. That's why would I want to consume that more power?
Yeah, it adds like 50 watts of power consumption when you're watching TV, and you get very little out of it, except for the ability to say, Xbox, pause. Yeah. Xbox, go home. Xbox, launch iDarb.
Keep it going.
Xbox,
Activate
turn off. Yes.
Okay, Google.
Xbox, turn on. Hey,
okay,
Siri.
Google.
Hey, Siri, what's the weather? Hey, Siri, send a text to my wife. Nope. Period. And, there we go. Everybody's stuff's exploding now. Peter wants to know, it's the PlayStation's 20th anniversary this year. I want to know what has been your favorite gaming memory or experience. It does not have to be PlayStation related, which is a good thing because I never owned a PlayStation.
PlayStation 1, wow.
No. I was an N64 guy and mostly PC back then. What, Norm, you got any thoughts on this one?
Gotta dig deep. Favorite gaming memory or experience? There are so many. I would say the one that stands out the most is probably playing Alone in the Dark, the original on PC, and being terrified by the floating eyeballs.
That was pretty scary. I think Quake World, when Quake World came out and you could play multiplayer shooters online instead of just in the LAN with 3 other people, it was unbelievable. I spent probably 2 or 3 years playing, Q1 DM3 basically with a clan arena or team arena or team DM stuff like that, and really loved it. We used to play a lot of Battlefield 2 at the Future office at Max PC after hours, and had some absolutely hellacious fights on like Karkon and stuff like that. Those were good times, and it was fun because we were all sitting in the same room, yell at each other. And then TF2, we played, Norm, you and I and Gary and Jeremy.
TF2.
We played a lot of TF2. There was one night when Gary just started trolling people on the team chat while we were all on Skype, and it was I think there's actually video of it someplace, I can't remember. I apologize in advance for what I'm about to do to your name, but Ivan asks, no sensible questions from me, but would you rather, if California became its own country and its inhabitants were never allowed to enter the USA, vice versa, would you rather live in California or in the USA? It's an easy answer for you.
California.
Yeah, see, I'd probably move to the USA. Because, family. I wouldn't want to never see my family again. That doesn't seem okay.
But that's silly. I mean, the better question is, if it's split up, would you retain citizenship? Where would you want your primary? Like, where would you want to pay taxes?
The tax basis in California is real bad, Norm. I don't want to.
It's pretty bad, but it's also you get probably more services.
You think so? You haven't really looked at what schools are for here, have you?
Yeah, I don't think California's going to split off. There's no chance.
No. I think we're more likely to split California into 3 states than to California split off from the United States.
Let's wait for the big one.
Well, I mean, I've seen Superman 1. I know how this works. And A View to a Kill.
And Escape from L.A.
Really? It split off in Escape from L.A. too?
That's the whole premise in Escape from L.A. is that L.A. is now an island.
I don't think I've ever seen Escape from L.A. But I really want to see is Escape from Cleveland. Because, that's where he lost his eye. Yeah. Did you see that, Matt? Hey, this is a good time for us to take a break and thank our sponsors. It's a mid-roll.
Yes.
Norman Chan, how do you feel about filling out surveys?
I think surveys are important. I like looking at the responses to surveys. And if filling out a survey allows me to see the response, then I'm all for it.
So if you would like to see the response for our survey and help the podcast, help us connect with advertisers, you can do that by going to podsurvey.com/test. Takes about 5 minutes. It is more or less anonymous, and it will really help the podcast a lot as we branch out into a exciting world of podcast advertisement to get people that actually are interested in advertising to you guys instead of people who are not you guys. If you put in your email address at the end of the survey, you will be entered to win a $100 gift card from Amazon, which you can use to buy anything you would like. The possibilities are literally limitless.
What would you buy, Will? You've had weeks to prepare for this answer. Something different every time. Go.
I would buy 55 Santa Claus hats and give them to people on the street because they bring joy to the world. What would you buy, Norm?
Nothing sadder than a hobo with a Santa Claus hat. I would buy Strandbeest. I would buy the biggest Strandbeest I could find.
Okay, that's a pretty good one. You know what I might buy? I might buy that Star Wars costumes coffee table book that you got because that is
only
awesome
$30.
I could buy 3 of them and give them to friends.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Well, I'd buy one of those. I would buy one of those, and then I would buy a UE Boom Mini to give to somebody because I think that's a good gift. So anyway, the address again is podsurvey.com/test. We don't put it in the description because they asked us not to, so you have to go to a web browser and type it in. If you do it, it will help us out a ton, and we will really appreciate it. Thank you for listening to the show. And now back to questions. But first, an aside. Norman Chan, did you see that Mad Max trailer?
I saw the Mad Max trailer.
I have thoughts about that.
Mad Max trailer. What are your thoughts about the Mad Max trailer?
I thought it looked real CG in a way that did not make me super happy, but I liked the tone.
I think the end of it looks CG, but I think what I took away from it is that I was surprised by how much of it looked practical. Actually cars driving and stunts on cars.
A lot of the car stuff looked practical, but then they ruined that effect by putting that giant, ridiculous-looking fire tornado thing in the CG background.
The giant tornado scene, that absolutely is CG. But the thing I took away was that they did a lot of crazy car stunts.
Yeah, I did. It looked like a lot of that stuff was practical and good. It's Bane is Max, right?
Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy is Mad Max.
Is he wearing another Bane mask in that trailer? Is that him wearing the jaw thing?
Yes, I think he is captured at one point, it looks like, and he is wearing a face mask. I do like that they're all holding up the steering wheels. The trailer does not show all of Charlize Theron's character, but it's George Miller. It's the same guy who did Mad Max. So.
And is this is another Mad Max story? It's not like a reboot or a do-over or anything like that, right?
I believe it is a reboot.
Okay. So this is going to be the story of the last
The Road
outpost of
Warrior.
civilization, and okay, well, that's fine. I'm excited to see that. I'll watch it, but I'm
It
a
looked
little
better
worried
than
about that CG.
the San Andreas trailer. The Rock.
What's the San Andreas trailer?
The Rock has a movie about the San Andreas Fault and the biggest earthquake that hit humanity. It's a natural disaster movie.
That
It
sounds
looks
like
so much like Volcano, Dante's Peak, all the Day After Tomorrow,
nope,
all that stuff. 2012.
nope, 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 nope. Um, Next question comes from John. He says, "Hey guys, I would love to get your opinion on a recent comment by Dr. Stephen Hawking about AI." And then he posted a link to the the story that was linked around a lot last week about artificial intelligence being a great threat to humanity, according to Stephen Hawking. He wants to know if we're all creating our demise with smartwatches and Jibos and Google Nest type devices. Maybe we should just all throw our wooden shoes into the gears and go back to nature just to save ourselves from a predetermined doom. Also, I own a smartwatch and pre-ordered a Jibo.
Well done.
When's Jibo coming, Norm?
Hopefully next year. I think it'll be at least a year and a half from now.
That has to be delayed, right? Do you think we're sowing the seeds of our own demise?
Sure, but I think nature will find a way. Life will find a way.
I think about self-driving cars, and part of me is very excited because theoretically, many fewer people should die in cars if the computers are driving them and they're safer and smarter. On the other hand, self-driving cars controlled by computers basically are weapons of mass destruction against soft, fleshy human beings like us. So, you know,
I mean,
Skynet.
we are slaves to a machine already.
Which machine is that?
The machines that give us electricity, and
Food?
the infrastructure systems. So, like, I don't see that being a problem. I think that we'll work our way around it.
So you're saying if the machines start blasting sewage out through our toilets and turn off our water and electricity, we're fucked anyway, so why not embrace the self-driving cars and Jibo?
Yeah.
Okay. I can take that. Chris says, "Hey guys, since it's almost Christmas, this seemed fitting. What would you guys say are some of the best things you've received or been given as Christmas gifts?" I guess it's the same thing. It could be in your adult life or maybe toys as a kid that really stuck out. Norman Chan?
Wolverine action figure with the spring-loaded claws and Wolverine wearing his dark brown orange uniform.
Okay.
I don't remember what age I was. I just remember that. And his mask came off.
Ooh, so he could be Logan or Wolverine?
I believe so. I'm going to look that up right now.
Did the claws pop out?
The claws did pop out.
Awesome. As an adult, somebody gave me a really fancy Le Creuset Dutch oven a few years ago that at first I didn't think was something I would ever use because it was kind of nice, and then we started using it, and it has become literally the most used piece of cookware in our house. We use it for everything: sautéing stuff, making soup, making chili, I made cornbread in it. We make Thanksgiving stuff in it. Like, it is one of my favorite pieces of cookware ever, and it is super versatile, and it has been so heavily used that I absolutely love it. So that's probably my favorite as an adult. As a kid, the Millennium Falcon that I got when I was 5 or 6 years old was a centerpiece of the Kenner Millennium Falcon, the original 1979 or 80 issue. Well, I mean, original for me, was a centerpiece of my play through my entire youth. Like, that never stopped being something I played with, and I still love it. It's in my parents' attic. I should bring it out here sometime. I'm sure it's like SNES yellow now instead of the gray that it once was. And then this is our last question. Teach, T-E-I-C-H, I assume that's Teach, asks, what's your favorite toy from your childhood that your parents still have locked away somewhere, or that you'd like to find somewhere to buy to give to your kids, children, or their children? And what was the toy that you had as a kid that you would never give, that you loved, but you would absolutely never give to your child? In the vein of, I can't believe I still have all my fingers. If you want to take the first one's easier. I just said the Millennium Falcon. That's absolutely. I mean, I don't know that I would give it to my daughter, because it's by modern standards, it's kind of a janky, plasticky toy. I gave her my old Fisher-Price record player, which she really enjoys. I don't know what happens after that. We'll see.
The Wizard of Oz VHS.
Oh, really? You watch The Wizard of Oz a lot?
That was a treasured present.
I can see that. It's a hell of a movie.
It's a great movie.
Do you still watch it? Have you watched it lately?
Oh yeah.
Not the VHS, but the movie.
Oh yeah. There's an anniversary release, Blu-ray release. It's fantastic.
Have you ever gone to the sing-along Sound of Music at the Castro Theater?
No.
You should do that with your special lady friend sometime. You guys would have fun. It's a good time. We had lawn darts when I was a kid. Like, my mom set us out in the yard to play with lawn darts. So I would never give that to my daughter. Seems like a good way to kill a child. So that's all the questions we have prepared. Do you want to put this out to open this up, send the link out to chat, and see where we end up?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to tweet it right now.
I'm going to let you tweet it, and I'm going to talk about... have you seen Print the Legend?
I haven't watched it yet. Gina won't watch it.
What?
I know. I told her I was in it, and that didn't seem to help.
No, there's nothing boring about it. I guarantee you. I'll send her a message to tell her to watch it. It is... Did she like King of Kong?
Yes, she loved King of Kong. I've
like King of Kong.
I have literally done this exact same... I've had this same conversation.
What won't she like about it? What does she think that she won't like about it?
I think it'll be boring, I think, probably, if I had to guess.
It's just like King of Kong in terms of how interesting it is.
I wonder how I can find... Okay, so... Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, like it's a deep look into a fascinating emerging thing, right? I mean, with King of Kong, you were seeing a world that you didn't know existed, and they presented it in a really interesting way. Same thing, kind of, with Indie Game the movie.
Did she like Indie Game the movie?
She loved Indie Game the movie.
Oh my God! There's so many elements. I'll send her a message right now.
Yeah, you should straighten her out.
Tell her right now.
Hey, you should watch Print the Legend. They took a clip of me interviewing Bree at what looked like CES, right?
It was CES 2012.
So that was what, the Replicator 1 year?
That
was the first time they were seeing this.
Yes, because you weren't there for 13, and it wasn't from 2014.
When did they announce the Replicator 2? That was... It may have been the Replicator 2 year, actually.
It was definitely not 2013.
It was the year that they printed that awesome... Yeah, it was definitely not 2013 because my kid was being born. It was the year that they printed that awesome rocket ship filled with aliens and toys and stuff, right?
That was 2012?
Yeah, so it must have been...
That wasn't in the background. I don't know if that was in the background. But anyway, regardless, it is fantastic.
I will, if she won't watch it, then I will endeavor to watch it on my own. I will give her some shit about it on the next Mr. and Mrs. Smith as well. What's the chat look like? Have you been in there?
Yes. People are popping in now.
Okay.
We're asking when we're playing IDARB, so we can have fun with IDARB.
I'll probably be playing IDARB tonight, probably 2 players. It's matchmaking is a little rough. Hello, chat people. So we'll take a couple questions from chat, and then we'll call it a show and go back to the raininess. I had to dig a trench around my living room this morning, around my house this morning, where water was pooling on one side of the house, and I had to get it out into the street, so that was awesome. Put your questions in the chat, people.
So this is something for people who are listening to this after the fact. We sometimes do. We're recording this directly with Google Hangouts, so it's actually being streamed live right now with an unlisted link. If you follow either of us on Twitter on Thursdays, if in the future we do live Google Hangout style podcasts, maybe on a rainy day like this, you can watch it live and chat live.
Norm, what's your Twitter?
My Twitter is @nchan.
My Twitter is @WillSmith. Because my name, as people don't seem to know, is Will Smith. Steve Kim, who designed our awesome pixel art T-shirts, wants to know if I have any interest in going back to play Destiny for the Dark Below. I assume you didn't play Destiny, right, Norm?
I did not play. I don't have a PS4.
Well, it's on Xbox One too. No, I didn't. I'm not going back to Destiny for the Dark Below. I don't think. If somebody sends me a code, maybe, but probably not. TH3 Green Beast says, "Hey, Will, there's a man outside your window."
Uh-oh.
That's a plant. We're cool. Kristen Mozzarella says, "What are your holiday plans, Norm? What are your holiday plans?"
Stay at home. Not
Hunker
going
down.
anywhere.
You got any hot chocolate? You ready to go?
I'm not the biggest fan of hot chocolate. I like hot tea.
Oh, I was just drinking hot tea. Do you have a fireplace? You don't, do you?
I do have a fireplace, but I've never turned it on ever. It's a gas fireplace.
Is it like a sealed gas thing?
It's sealed. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it in your bedroom or is it in the living room?
No, it's in the living room.
Okay. Green Beast wants to know when's the next Dadcast. We're trying to get one together before the holidays, maybe for the end of December. We did not do one while Vinny was here because they were crazy busy doing Game of the Year stuff. So it was a bad time to pull him out. Fat Wreck wants to know from Norm, do you have any thoughts about the X100 TCL? And also, what is the X100 TCL? That one was from Will.
I want to make sure I know what he's talking about. I do not have any thoughts currently, but it is on my list of cameras to get in early next year.
What is it?
It's a Fujifilm rangefinder style camera.
Oh, it's their version. It's their good sensor with a fixed lens. Not really.
I am not 100% sure it's fixed lens. I'm not sure.
Okay. We don't think about BlackBerry 10. It's just not. I don't think it's relevant. Machine A wants to know if we have any Christmas present tips that everyone should have. Brian Lamb over at the Wirecutter a few years ago when they did their first gift guide gave really good advice, which is that getting gifts off of gift guides is really bad. Like it's hard to pick something that's universal. So what you have to do is look at stuff that you think they might like. Find things that people are into. Like if you have somebody who loves to cook, go look at the year's best cookbooks or look at the new kitchen gadgets. Look for the kind of stuff that people will never buy themselves. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It's just like something that would be a splurge most of the time. And that's how I try to buy gifts.
I don't like gift guides where it's just a wish list of what the author wants.
That's what gift guides always. I mean, that's why we don't do gift guides. Gift guides traditionally are an excuse for people who work at publications to call in a bunch of shit.
Oh no, it's not even that anymore. It's just, I think these 10 things look cool.
Right.
But I have no intention of actually buying them.
When we do stuff like 12 Days of Christmas, it's all stuff that we actually use. Like the way I usually find 12 Days of Christmas, my 12 Days of Christmas stuff, and my favorite things stuff that we'll do in the week between Christmas and New Year's, is by looking at the stuff that I use every day and the stuff that has had a measurable impact, not necessarily in like quality of life, but like general, like things that make me happy to use, tools that I love using and things that I love using. Or things that solve a problem, like those tile things that were today's. I think they were today's.
They were today's.
Yeah, like they're janky and broken in a lot of ways, but they solve a very real problem, which is that my daughter likes to take stuff out of my bag. She has like 3 things that she loves, and she takes them, she plays with them for 5 minutes, and then she just drops them wherever the hell she is. And as a result, I can't find my keys or my pencil sharpener or whatever the thing may be. So
if she's still playing with them, you can scare her by giving it a chime.
It doesn't make that. It's a real friendly chime. It's not like a scary
delight her.
Yes, it might delight her. She
and
likes
make her
things.
want those things more.
That would almost certainly backfire on me. You're correct. The person that was outside may be the mailman,
person?
Guys.
Oh, that sucks. I feel bad for all. I had a delivery earlier today for a giant FedEx package of poster frames, 24 by 36, and I felt bad for the FedEx person.
Oh, that's terrible. That's my neighbor. He's taking advantage of the break in the weather to clean his gutters, looks like. So you can see the tweet. at Fobwashed on Twitter. He posted it this afternoon. Norm, there's a few more. You want to take a few more questions and call it a
Yeah,
day?
absolutely.
Bane Kerr asks, a while back you guys mentioned that using 2 video cards for gaming is a bad idea. Why is that? Norm?
It's actually not as much a bad idea now. I think drivers are at a point where, performance-wise, you're not going to get exactly double performance, but it is closer. It's better than 50% performance. Again, it depends on the video card, but the reason I think it's still a bad idea, unless you're doing an upgrade, is its power draw.
Well, the power draw, and also a lot of times you'll see, like, if you look at driver release notes, if you're the kind of person who buys a new game on launch day, typically the SLI or Crossfire patches for the drivers will come not in the release day driver update, but the next one or the one after. So for a game, like a single-player game that you play for 8 hours, you'll be done with that before you get the SLI patch, which means that you have the second video card that's just warming your gaming room. That's why I generally don't recommend double video card solutions. Like, if you spend the same amount of money on a single card, you'll be much better off. If you're talking about adding a card into an existing machine, sometimes that makes sense, but usually you're better off spending, like, those cards don't get that much cheaper. Usually you're better off just getting the next best card or waiting a little bit longer and getting a better card. We need to build a San Francisco FAQ. M4G35LY4YR says, hey guys, I'm traveling to the West Coast in 2016, San Francisco. Specifically, is there anything I should or see or do when I get there? You wrote a great letter about this ages ago. It all depends on what you like, right? We have a lot of cool stuff to do in San Francisco and the areas around. What are a couple of your favorites, Norm?
Oh boy. I think, okay, let's go through institutions. California Academy of Science, Walt Disney Family Museum, Exploratorium, Legion of Honor are the great museums in the city. Food-wise, there are way too many options. Really depends on where you're going to stay. Recommendations where you're going to stay. Don't stay close to Union Square. That's a trap. Stay away from Union Square.
Like get an Airbnb in the Mission or rent a room in the Mission or something like that if you're just coming with one person. The Alcatraz audio tour, which is the touristiest thing that I would recommend you do, is great. The De Young and Cal Academy of Sciences are both amazing museums, and the De Young has this amazing gallery that you can go see, that you can climb up to without having to pay for an admission. It's kind of an expensive museum. The Japanese Tea Garden, I think, costs $6. It's right next to the Cal Academy and is a neat place to walk around for 45 minutes. It's very pretty. Steve Kim in chat says you should go to Hood Slam. I do not think that the Hood Slam is for everyone, but look at the website and you will know if you think Hood Slam is for you.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know what Hood Slam is?
I have no idea what Hood Slam is.
Hood Slam is underground wrestling in the East Bay.
What?
It's like $10 to get in, and it's all copyright. It's not all copyright infringement. It's a lot of copyright infringement characters. It's been going for a fairly long time, but it's gotten popular in certain circles in the last few weeks. I know that's where Dan Reichert and Alex went when they left the Giant Bomb studio last week. I think maybe right before you got there. I can't remember. And I think that's about it for us today. Unless you have anything else. Did you see anything else? Do you have an opinion on 4K monitors versus multi-monitors, Norm? Shut Your Butt wants to know about that.
Shut Your Cloud wants to know about it?
Yeah, shut Your Cloud. They don't have any way of knowing that joke. That's months
true.
in their
That's
future.
From the future. Wait 3 weeks, and I will have an answer for you. As of right now, multi-monitor is way better than 4K monitor in my mind, but wait 3 weeks.
Do you have a 4K monitor coming, or are you thinking we're going to see some stuff at CES?
Maybe both.
Okay. So I think that's it for us. I think that'll do it for us this week. Thank you guys for watching. The regular podcast will be up in just a little bit. I'll probably do a little bit of work on the video, and it'll be up later today. If you're watching live, thanks for submitting questions to everyone, and we'll be back next week with a regular edition of...
Will we? Will we? Think about this.
Oh. Ooh. We might have to record one while we're away.
Mm.
We might have audio only next week. When do you get back on Thursday? You're driving back Thursday?
Probably Thursday night.
Let's. How about this? Let's reconvene. Same bat time, same bat channel. Is next Friday the day that we're doing that long shoot?
Yes.
Okay. Well, we'll figure out something for podcast next week. Maybe Jeremy and I'll do something on Wednesday afternoon. It'll just be the two of us.
You'll also, Wednesday afternoon, you'll be preoccupied.
Wednesday afternoon, I'm going to be in San Francisco.
No.
Yes.
We'll be at Behind the Myths.
Oh, Tuesday afternoon, perhaps. Yeah, and if you're at Behind the Myths in LA next week, look for us. We'll be there.
We'll be there next week in LA at the Nokia Theater. I believe tickets are still on sale, and we'll be around to say hi. We might even have stickers.
Adam has said they will not sell out the Nokia Theater because it is a very big venue. So if you would like to come, we will be there, and tickets are still available. I just checked. So that'll do it for us. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good weekend. Stay safe in the rain, Norm.
Stay dry.
Bye.
Everyone.
Stop broadcast.